All right, so let's begin. And we're going to start on the back. So you can lie down onto your mat and just wiggle around until you feel like you have the length that you want um, for your body, stretching out and resting against the floor. And we'll start with the arms just a bit wider to the sides. So if you can make like a wide elbow position with your fingertips actually pointing to the ceiling, then we'll start with some arm rotations. And you can just imagine like you're holding on to light hand weights. And we'll start by rotating the hands forward or down out in front of you, and that creates internal rotation. And then we'll move the hands back, creating external rotation. And you might notice different ranges of motion on each side, and that's fine. Those are things that you can just observe as you move. We're going back and forth between the internal rotation and the external rotation, and not forcing or pushing really ever, but finding that range of motion that feels good in the joint and just trying to maximize the amount of movement you have in the joint. So back and forth, a few more times, rotating in, rotating out. And the final one, we'll rotate the arms down or in and find that pause. You might even feel like your shoulders are lifting away from the floor a bit. And take another moment in the rotation. And then let's take a pause in the external. So move the arms back, and maybe here you just allow your hands to rest against the floor, and you can feel that really nice opening across the chest as the fronts of the shoulders try and pull back and down towards the floor. Take another breath. And then we'll move the hands to the rib cage, and we'll just start with a few rounds of rib cage breathing. So let's first get in position where you slide your hands apart and the palms of the hands go lower towards the floor so that the palms are actually resting on the side area of the rib cage and not on top. You should feel your fingertips resting on top of the rib cage, and you can actually use your fingertips to start to push the fronts of the ribs down, and you'll feel even more connection to the ground when the front ribs draw down towards the ground. Now, moving into rib cage breathing is where you feel the ribs expand into your hands. So we're focusing on breathing into the sides of the ribs. As you inhale, you breathe wide ribs. And then as you exhale, you feel the deep abdominals. You feel the deep abdominals simply by exhaling out fully. So when you inhale, feel the ribs expand wide to the sides. And then as you exhale, feel the waistline draw in, the navel pull down. You pause in that empty of breath sensation. And a few more times. Inhale, feel the ribs expand, whole time keeping the back body down against the floor. You exhale, completely release the breath out. Feel that tightening and engagement around your spine. And last two here, soft face as you inhale, wide ribs expand to the sides of the room. And exhaling out completely, shrinking the ribs around the spine, that feeling of emptying everything out. Final last time, inhale, wide ribs. Exhale, deep abdominals. All right, removing the hands from the rib cage. Let's lower the hands to the floor, palms face down to the ground. Press your shoulders to the ground and feel the surface of the arm bones press to the floor. Lift your right and left leg up to a tabletop position. Keep pressing the back side of the rib cage down against the ground while pulling the navel towards the spine. Simple movement to get started. Right leg forward, inhale. Pull back, exhale. Left leg goes forward, inhale. Pull back, exhale. So as we move, we're being mindful of the shape of the spine and maintaining the length of the spine so there doesn't feel like there's a ton of movement involved when we move the legs. So that's the isolation piece. So we isolate the movement for just the legs here, moving out and in, making sure there's no reaction in any part of the body. So we're engaging the core to hold everything else nice and still and strong. And then we use the movement of the legs to challenge that core engagement. And so you can start to see if you can get the leg to go a little bit lower. That's an option, or continue at the same range of motion. 2 more times each way, pressing the back ribs down, pulling the belly in, finding that flow of the leg out and in, and then final time with the left leg, and then bring the leg back in. All right, so from here, place both hands against the tops or fronts of your thigh bones, the upper legs. So it's going to be up to you to determine where you can easily touch your legs. And then from there, relax your shoulders and start to find a push between the hands and the legs. So the hands are going to push forward, the legs are going to push back, and it doesn't look like anything's really happening because nothing's really changed, but you can feel a lot going on. You can feel the development of that deep core strength, wrapping from the back to the front of the body, holding and pausing, but breathing in and out. So it looks like you're not doing anything, but you're continuing to push and feel that effort, hand and leg against one another, and breathe for 3. Out, exhale. Keep on pressing 2. Keep the low back long. And final 1. Now we're going to maintain the hands. We're going to keep the hands in this position, but we'll move back to that alternate leg movement. This time, each time the leg comes back to the hand, you find that push energy. So right leg forward, then it returns and you push. Left leg forward, then it returns and you push. Alternate. Keep the hands where they are, waiting for the leg. Inhale, exhale. So it's any amount of movement, forward and back. It doesn't have to be big. It's going to look different for each person. So forward and tap, press as you come back. Forward, tap, press as you come back. 1 more each way. And then the left leg, and bring it back and pause. Tuck the knees into your chest and squeeze. And then lower your feet down to the floor. Your knees are pointing towards the ceiling. Let's bring the hands to the space behind the head. You want to interlace your hands together and make sure that your pinky, the pinky side of the hand, is right touching or slightly underneath the center point of the back of the head. So you want to be supporting the lower area of the back of the head. Now, narrow the elbows slightly in, so a small angle hugging in, and then slowly start to roll and curl up away from the floor. Now, you're going to curl up to any amount of height that works for you, but you need to make sure you can maintain it with a sense of ease. So if you're struggling to keep yourself up, just go down an inch, or if you feel like you're not working at all, go up an inch. And then find that point for you that's just slightly challenging, but also manageable. And then let your head become heavier with each breath out. Almost like the head is disconnected from the rest of the body, you have to hold it up. And then that switch is just allowing the muscles in the neck to soften and release as you hold the weight of the head up. Now we'll add a small amount of movement, but remember, holding still is always an option. 5 times curl up, pause. 4 more, curl up, pause. 3 more, curl up, pause. 2 more, curl up, pause. Final last time. We're going to curl up, try and hold the curl up. Still feel that weight of the head pressing back into the hands. Find that opening across the throat and ease through the jaw and face. Hold for 5. Stay in the lift. Head heavy is really a part of being in this posture. Last 3, 2, keeping the head leaning back. Last deep breath in and out. Slowly release all the way down. Take a pause, a moment here. And then let's hug the knees into the chest. Give yourself a big squeeze. It's your option either to roll forward or to roll to one side, creating a transition that works for your body, and we'll all come up and then adjust and be in table pose, all fours position. Once in table pose, hands under the shoulders, knees under the hips. We're gonna find that flat back position that feels like an actual table without puffing or rounding the back or letting the back sway. Let's find that long spine. Opposite arm and leg stretch. So let's do one limb at a time and then more fluid. So it'll be the right leg back and then the left arm forward. Then lower the hand and the knee down. Now start with the left leg back and the right arm forward. And lower the hand and the knee down. Now more fluid. Inhale, switch. Exhale, lower. Inhale, switch. Exhale, lower. The priority is to keep the back totally still and solid as you move the limbs out. Inhale, lower, exhale. Out, inhale, lower, exhale. Good. Couple more. Reach and lengthen. Lower, return. Without shifting the balance, holding that strong foundation. And then last time, each way, it's right leg, lower, and left leg, then lower. And pause, come back to center. All right, little puff of the back takes you into cat pose. Then cow and stretch and look forward. Good. Tuck the toes, lift the hips. Let's move to downward dog. Feel free to move your feet back. More space is always preferable. Bending in the knees helps a lot. Push down into your hands. Lift your hips up even higher as you strengthen and straighten your arms. Take a few rounds of breath. Find the height and the lift and stay. We're going to add a little bit of a flow. When we come to inhale forward to plank, and now in plank pose, option to have your knees on the floor or off the floor, okay? But we're going to move with the breath, so you'll just transition as best you can. Shift back, downward dog. Inhale forward to plank, knees on or off the floor. Exhale, pike, downward dog, hips up. 2 more times. Forward to plank, knees on or off the ground. Exhale, rise, downward dog. Last time. Inhale forward to plank, hold plank position. Now let's all lower our knees down to the ground just to get that extra support. Make sure your low back isn't sagging. You want that lift through the ribs so that you feel supported in the low back. We're going to take a small bend into the elbows, which will lower us closer to the ground, and then push to straight arms. And again, small bend and press. Any amount of bend. You need to be able to push yourself back up. So find the range of motion for 5 and push, for 4 and push. Feeling the strength in the shoulders, keeping the length through the spine. Good. Last 2. And final 1. Small bend and press. Let's all shift back to a quick child's pose, just letting everything hang out and soften. You can feel your hips reach back, your head rest down. Try and relax your shoulders. If you need to move your hands around to open up the wrists again, feel free to create that movement. Take 2 more rounds of breath. Everything heavy, soft, and final deep breath in and out. All right, move your hands underneath your shoulders. Start to lift yourself on up. We're going to come up, step, and lean forward, step, and rise up all the way to your standing position. Okay, with your feet about hips width distance apart, I want your toes to point forward, and we're going to move into a few squats. So we lead with the pelvis and sit back, push up, sit back, press up. Good. Find that flow. getting into whatever range of motion is available. How low can you go? And then you definitely stand all the way back up. Down and up. Sit back, stand up. So as you do this in repetition, you start to feel the strength in the legs as you lower, the strength in the glutes as you lift. Now you only really get those glutes to turn on and engage when you stand all the way on up. So you don't want to hold kind of halfway up, all the way up. 5 and push. Last 4 and push. We'll go 3 more times, and then we'll add a little balance. 2. All right, last one. So we're gonna go down for a moment and hold. Take a pause, feel the natural length in the low back, feel the weight of the hips sinking back, the rest of the torso, the bend in the knees, all following the hinge of the hips. Now, next time we come up, we're gonna lift the heels off the ground. So that adds that element of balance. So we lift up and lift the heels. Then lower and sit back down. Lift up, lift the heels. And lower and sit back down. It's rise, push, lower, sink. All the way up, all the way down. 2 more times, then we're gonna hold the lift of the heels up high. So here's the last time. You're gonna hold the hips of your heels, or hold the heels up high, hips forward, push. Find that lift through the crown of the head. Arms can be anywhere that feels supportive. Then the heels are gonna go down to almost touch the floor and then back up. So it's lower, lift, lower, lift, lower, lift, lower, push. 3, 2, final one, lower, lift, and then lower the heels all the way down. All right, we'll take a small step back with the right foot. So not super wide, just kind of step back, see where you go. Have a wall if you need extra support. And then you're gonna bend the knees and lower down, trying to keep your torso kind of upright versus hinged. So upright and then push. Again, we'll lower any amount and push, lower and lift, lower and lift. 5 more with a little hold. So down, all the way up, straight legs, down, all the way on up. 3 more, lower and lift, lower and lift. Final one, go down and hold and pause. So the torso is as high as you can get it, nice and upright and tall versus hinged. So upright and tall. And then your thighs, you want them to squeeze towards one another. So they're going to hug in towards one another. They're not going to move back and forth. They're going to hold solid, but you're going to feel like you're squeezing them in towards one another, like there's kind of like you're trying to hold on to a piece of paper. You squeeze in, you squeeze in, you squeeze in. For 3, 2, and then final one, you're going to hold that squeeze in and lean forward. One long line head through your heel, then drop back, upright lunge with the bend, hinge forward, lift up, hinge forward, lift up. 3, and lower, 2, and lower. Final one, hinge forward and hold. Stay here just like this with the foot on the floor, or lean forward and float that leg up for a balance challenge. Arms can sweep back. It's like warrior 3. Hold, last 5. Straighten the back leg. Lift through the arm bones and shoulders. Take one more deep breath in. And then rise up. Okay, give that leg a little shake. Shake through both sides. We'll move to the second side in a moment. And then we'll do a stretch for the legs. All right, so next side, second side, left foot, you're gonna just step it back. Remember, you don't wanna go super far back. We wanna hold a shorter stance. So wherever you can naturally go, great. And we'll start with the upright lunge. So the torso stays and the crown of the head stays reaching to the ceiling, we'll go down and up, lower, and lift. Good. You can hold furniture or wall for balance if that's a challenge, and focus on the movement of the legs. So you get into the thighs and really into that glute. Lower and lift, lower and lift. A few more here. Down and press up, down and push, reach up. Okay, last two with the hold and lift. Final one and hold it down. I want you to feel like your thighs are hugging towards one another. Remember, there's not a ton of movement in and out. It's just holding, squeezing, squeezing, thighs in, thighs in, thighs in, and maybe dropping down even lower. That's always an option. Holding, squeezing, thighs in, thighs in. And then from here, let's go into the hinge. Push and lengthen. So you want to keep the spine long and neutral, crown of the head through the heel, one long line, and then return to upright. Then hinge lunge, upright lunge. Feel the mechanics, upper body, lower body working together. And then we'll take that pause. And 3 more times, holding the balance. Last 2. Here we go. Final one. It's upright, into hinge and hold. This is where you can stay and pause, or you can push off the back foot and float on up. Warrior 3 like pose, balancing on the right leg, feeling that right glute nice and strong, lifting the shoulders, feeling the back engage. Hold for 3. Last 2. And then final one, rise up and lower. All right, take your feet out very wide. Let's hinge and fold forward. So if you have blocks by your side or maybe a couch close by, you can always have your hands on something a little bit higher than the floor. But if you go down to the ground and it feels like it's too low, you can modify by bending your knees a bit, which will help with the fold. And just let everything hang down and feel the back body stretch and open up. And let the head feel really heavy. For 3 more rounds of breath, pause in the fold. And 1 more deep breath in, staying as you breathe out. Let's all turn towards the left foot and turn the right toes forward, going into a lunge. Right hand can be on the floor or on a block or any sort of prop you have at home. If you feel like the floor is too far away, bending your right knee to the ground will help it feel lower or higher up. Turn and twist to the left side, back knee on or off the ground. Spinning towards the side, feel that opening in your back as you lean the head back. 2 more rounds of breath. And 1 more deep breath in. Stay here as you breathe out. And then release. So pick up the back knee, turn and swivel all the way to the other side. Option to have the knee off the floor or on the floor. Then raise that arm up as you twist to the side. Try and turn the ribs, turn the chest as you lean back, just a tad more. Last 2 rounds. And 1 more deep breath in. And out. Lower the hands. Turn to face back forward. Both sets of toes facing forward. Solid and strong. Push, push, rise up. All right, here we're going into horse stance or a wide turned out position. So currently the toes are pointing forward like to 12 o'clock. So we're going to slide the heels in so the toes naturally point out to 10 and 2. You're going to sink down and you can have your hands on your legs for better support and just sink down like you're sitting down, horse stance or wide turn out. All right, so here you're going to feel your legs work a ton. We'll take a pause. I want to be clear though, so a lot of times we get into this pose and we're trying to be upright, but then our back is overly bending. So really adjust so that your back feels long and neutral. So hinging forward would be appropriate in this stance. Okay, you can't see it unless I'm in profile. So find that hinge, find what feels long and neutral for you. Then from here, let's tuck the elbows in. Hold on to your light hand weights. And similar to what we did a moment ago, but now, working the legs a lot more, we're gonna rotate the arms in and rotate out. Rotate in and rotate out. Hands together, apart, together, apart. Couple more. In and out, in and out. Last one. In and then push the arms out wide, sink the hips down lower, full range of motion movement. So reach up, sink down. Inhale, exhale. Keep on moving. Between that high, reaching all the way up, that low, sinking heavy and down. Good. You feel your feet stay in the same position. And you feel that push through your heels to rise, that strengthen the legs to lower. Keep on moving. 5 with a hold. 4, stretch on up. Full range of motion. So you reach up as high as you can. You drop down as low as you can. 2, and lower. Final 1, and then lower down. Pause on the down. Palms can come together, hands can rest on your hips, whatever feels most natural and comfortable. We're gonna set the hips, go down an inch, back up an inch. So we really don't wanna bounce or a lot of momentum. So we go really slow, down 1 inch and up 1 inch. It's lower, lift, lower, lift. 5 with a hold. 4 more times. Down, up, 3, up. Last 2. Okay, here's the hold. So sit down, get nice and low. You can always keep your hands together or on your thighs if you need more support. Even stretch them up for a little more challenge from the back body. And then if you can, last 2 rounds of breath, maybe go down a little bit lower. Here we go. Last deep breath in. And out. Stand up, turn the toes forward, lean and step the feet together. All right, big stretch, arms to the ceiling, and then sink down and forward fold. We're all gonna step back to hands and knees pose so you can get there carefully. Adjust into your hands and knees. Palms to the ground, shoulders stack, hips stack. Shoulders over the wrists, hips over the knees. Take a little puff, cat back. Take a little stretch, cow back. Bring it back to center. Tuck the toes, float the knees off the floor. Find that hovering table. So with the knees off the floor, you want your hips to come up as high as your shoulders, not higher, just as high. And then you can create that length in your spine so your back feels flat like a table. And hold super strong as you push into your hands. An option to have your knees on the ground as well so that you can focus on the strength in the abdominals and deep core. And you don't need the knees on the ground to do that. Once you lift the knees up, it kind of sparks that awareness to the place you need to engage, and then you can lower them back down. Stay. 1 more deep breath in and out. Lower. All right. Walk your knees back further. So now you're in your modified plank position. And we're going to lower all the way down to the belly. So down to the floor. All right. Hands come into a stacked position and your head can rest on top. Stretch one leg and the other leg out so that you feel really set up with as much length and space in the body as possible. Now in this position, this is called prone, belly facing the ground, touching the ground. Your pelvis is your foundation. So You want to make sure that you are actively pushing your pelvis into the ground, which will help start to spark that engagement in the belly and the back. So, with your left hand stacked on top of your right hand, we will lift the head with the hand touching and maybe the elbow and whole arm bone up as well. Now, if it feels too hard to lift the arm up with the head, you keep the elbow down and just raise the head up and lower. Or the whole arm up and lower. Okay, let's go. Inhale, lift up. Exhale and lower. Inhale, same side. Exhale and lower. Lifting up any amount that is available for your body, and then feeling that strength as a result in the back. Okay, 2 more. It's lift and lower. Last one for the hold. So lift up. Here we're going to pause and hold. So lift up as high as you can, comfortably stretch out as long as you can. Now from here, the option is to add a flow to the right leg up as well and stretch the right toes back, right thigh lifts and lengthens. One more deep breath in and out, lower. Swap so your right hand is on top. Soften right away. Feel the whole body rest. Then for 6 times with the arm, the hand, the head, optional lift of the whole arm, will lift up and we'll add the leg at the very end. So when you're ready, float up and lower. This is a back body strengthener. Float up and lower. Make sure you're nice, even movement. You float up slowly, you lower down slowly. 3 more, lift and lower. 2 more, lift and lower. Last one, float up. Here's the pause. So lift up as high as you can comfortably, knowing that you'll stay a bit longer. Then float the left leg up as well as an option, but keep the left side of the pelvis pressing down. Find that stretch and the reach and the float and the lift. Take 1 more deep breath in and release all the way down. Move your hands by this. Oh, let's actually do this. Bend your knees and flop your feet from side to side. So creating a nice easy motion. And we'll move and straighten the legs so that we can bring the palms to the sides, float up and stretch back. Keep the knees very wide apart as you set yourself up into child's pose. Now, as the hips reach down, as the head is heavy, you'll feel that natural length in between and all along the spine. Soften what you can right away. Take 2 more rounds of breath. And then when you're ready, let's transition. Come all the way on up and sweep your legs around and forward so that you are in your seated position on your mat. And let's take a bend in the knees with a strong flex of the feet. Hold on to the thighs here. Instead of rounding down, I want you to actively lift up. So the tallest spine that you can create. And then after you get your tall spine, imagine like there's this corset being wrapped around from the back to the front, and they're tightening the corset so you're super rigid through this part of the body. It's not going to wave and move. Super strong and solid. Then you're going to keep that sense of a corset on as you hinge back. Now you can always hold on to your legs, and that will help release any tension if you start to feel along your thighs and your hips. But you want to hold that length in your spine as you hinge back. Okay, facing forward, drawing the skull back. Then from here, if you're holding on, you can let go with your right hand. Both arms are available, then both arms reach forward. All right, right arm turns and twists. You open to the side, then come back to center. Sticking with the right side, turn and twist, rotate. Then return, center. Turn, return. Okay, 2 more. Twist and center, twist and center. Bring it back. Hold back on if you want to, or both arms forward. We're going to readjust and find that long lift through the spine, out through the crown of the head, and then take the left arm forward 3 times. Turn left and center. Turn to the left and find center. Good. Exhale. I think I said 3 times, but we're going to do 5. Twist and center. Twist and center. Bring it back. Hold. Optional both arms. Reach up or out. Optional both arms. Reach higher up. All right. Stay wherever you are. Find what works for you, what challenges you, and hold for 5. 4. You can even straighten your legs from here if it feels like a better adjustment. 2. And last 1. And rise up. Bend and fold with ease over your legs. So you can grab a hold of your feet, your ankles. You can rest your hands by the sides of your body. Soften down and forward fold. Let your head rest down and take a pause. It should feel like a nice relief along the tops of the thighs and your hips. 2 more rounds. When you're ready, come all the way on up. We're going to move into a little teaser variation or boat pose. So adding on to where we were a moment ago and increasing the bend in the knees, holding on to the thighs, finding that first round back cat pose so we can feel the exact opposite of really lifting, opening, lengthening, still in the hinge, and then float your feet up. Pause here. Good. The knees are bent. The thighs are coming towards the belly. The belly's moving towards the thighs. You can keep your hands holding on or let go and stretch the arms out. Good. Find what works as you hold static or still position. Last 3. Stay 2. Final 1. Then lower your feet down and we're all going to return down towards the ground. So slowly to the floor. We'll take one more core exercise for our obliques. So when you're ready, interlace the hands behind your head. And optional to float the legs up or keep the feet down. You're going to curl and lift your upper back off the floor and add the twist. Turn to the right. Then return to center, turn to the left, and find center. It's lift and twist, and center, lift and twist, and center. Rise and turn, back to center, even higher, turn, and back to center. Keep the flow moving from side to side. Keep the head heavy without pulling the head forward. You just want to feel that sinking of the head back and down. You're holding the weight of the head up. Twist, twist. One more time each way, and then we'll hold a static position. Last time to the left whenever you're there. Bring it back to center, curl up a little bit higher, lean the head back. So staying here with your knees bent, returning your feet down to the ground is another option. And then final variation, maybe you can straighten your legs just a touch more and stay for 5. Hold the curl. Last 4, 3, 2, and final 1. Lower all the way down. Tuck the knees into your chest. Give everything a really big hug. Then lower the left foot down and cross the right ankle over. Let's move into a little hip stretch, and you can grab your left leg if it's available or keep the foot on the floor and start to encourage the leg to come in a bit closer. Feel more of a stretch on the right side and pause right here. Take another breath and then switch. So you can uncross and recross. Press the left thigh forward. Option to keep the right leg down or bring it in. You're gonna hold on to that right leg, which will help intensify the stretch. You'll feel it on the left side of the hip. Let yourself settle in. Feel the back soften to the ground. Take a couple more rounds. And then release and hug the knees into your chest. Let's turn the knees towards the left side. You can stretch your right arm out. We're going to go into an easy twist for the spine. If there's another variation of a reclined twist that you like better, obviously you can take that as well. But try and keep the legs together, the knees up high as they move towards the side. And if you need more support for the legs to rest on something, you can always grab a pillow. Either place it to the side of the leg or to the inside between the legs. Use the breath out to lift the legs up. And let's switch and move the legs all the way towards the right and either resting on a prop or on the ground. The left arm can stretch out to the side. And you're trying to twist and open, lowering the left shoulder, left arm down towards the ground. And this time, instead of rolling back to center, bring the left arm over towards the right and take a gentle push to lift yourself on up and back to seated position. Let's take an easy forward fold. You can start to move your hands forward and just take a pause with the head hanging. Feel the breath move into the back area of the body. You can almost feel like your back is puffing up like a balloon to the ceiling and then sinking down as you exhale, releasing to the ground. 2 more. And then when you're ready, you can walk your hands back up, coming all the way on up. Good job, everyone.